We're going to move into the Junior X30 pre-final now, which is the penultimate race before the junior contest is played out in front of our very eyes. And the man who has been absolutely relentless all weekend long, he is also in the position of never having yet been beaten in a race over the course of Saturday, and that is the French youngster Théophile Nal, who has been absolutely relentless all weekend long. 3 races, 3 victories, and there were a couple of times when nobody could even keep up with him. So he is obviously the one to beat. The man alongside him on the front row of the grid, though, does have a really genuine chance of overhauling and getting the victory away from him, and that is the Irish superstar Finn McLaughlin, who of course races under a British racing licence. So rather sadly, for his sake, if he is able to get the victory, it'll be the British national anthem that you hear on the podium rather than the Irish. But Finn McLaughlin, for the pride of Ireland, is there on the front row of the starting grid, and it will be really exciting to see what he can do on this front row of the grid. So Finn McLaughlin will be there and pushing his way forward, but there is such a plethora of talent in this Junior X30 field, with so many potential racers at the front end of this field. Théophile Nal is obviously the form maker, and he has not really put a wheel wrong all race long. So now it's going to be up to what he can do in the battle for position. So we will obviously fight our way forward. We'll head down to the pre-grid as the drivers battle for supremacy. So the juniors are there in position, and we will obviously have a really strong tussle between these juniors. But it's not just the front row men, Théophile Nal and Finn McLaughlin, who have been impressive over the course of the weekend. We also have to look at people like Jaden Tien, the Dutchman, who managed to take a race victory over the course of yesterday, as too did Bart Harrison 3 weeks ago at the IAME Winter Cup in Valencia. So there are very strong contenders in this battle right from the get-go. On the outside of the grid, you've also got Finn McLaughlin's teammates, Leo Robinson of Algeria and Kanato Lee of Japan. So there's a lot of exceptional skill at the front end of this field. Kimi Abraham of Belgium and Clement Outran of France are also on the 4th row of the grid. And then you have the Spanish charge, Paul Cayos, looking so much stronger than he was able to produce in Valencia. I guess the pressure's off here for a certain degree, and the Alonso kart is working well. So he's there on the inside of the 5th row. The outside is Sam van Voskulen, who's really going well actually this weekend, the Dutchman. He's put on some exceptional performances in the heats leading up to this. Andy Rattel and Ivan Arias have been solid and consistent. Thomas Strauven's getting on so well in the junior class as well, and good to see him make such an early impression. Also, Gabriel Stilp, who had a bit of a sporadic program in 2020, and now he's hoping for a full-time attack on 2021. And with the crop promotion team, he certainly seems to have good strength and stamina under his right foot. So it's going to be a fascinating battle for our drivers. They're about to head out onto the circuit. They are going to get the green flag on the exit of the pit lane at any moment now. This is going to be an interesting 11 laps.
Yeah, 11 laps to go for the pre-final of the junior class coming up in just a few moments. And here they come. The green light is being given to the drivers, making their way onto the track. Will Théophile Nal, one of the weekend's revelations in the category and for the entire event, will the Frenchman will be able to keep that position ahead of the pack. He's going to have a lot to work to put onto the track with Phil McLaughlin, Jaden Tien, Leo Robinson, as well as Bart Harrison among the protagonists to expected to fight at the front in this pre-final, because everyone wants to pick a piece of the cake, isn't it? We have pole position up for grab, and we know how much pole position can be decisive onto this particular track coming to turn 1, even though we've seen a lot of changes happening into the opening laps, and sometimes the pole sitters doesn't have a race in the back for sure.
There is another man to watch for in particular in this field as well, and that is Will McIntyre. Let's not forget that he had the chance to lead at the front of the entire field by example yesterday, and he had that bittersweet problem that came to him in the first part of the race. He didn't get to start the opening heat, so obviously ended up with a DNF, Will McIntyre, but then bounced back with a win and a second. So in terms of speed, he is one of the fastest out there. In fact, he was the fastest from time qualifying. So Will McIntyre from the 8th row of the grid is definitely one to watch out for. It looks as though we're missing a couple of drivers from the fray in the X30 Junior pre-final. Now that's interesting. Julian Carmen, the 192, doesn't appear to be out on track, nor does Brandon Templeton. I wonder if they've had mechanical problems, which will put them obviously to the back back row of the starting grid. Now that is devastating bad news for Carmen and Templeton. So they have absolutely no control over the situation, and they will have to fight their way through from the back row of the final. It's a missed opportunity for them. It also gives them less preparation time. They're going to be on the back foot without any shadow of doubt. But the grid is Théophile Nall and Finn McLaughlin, Jaden Teen and Leo Robinson, Bart Harrison and Kanato Lee, Kimi Abraham and Clement Outram. Then it's Chaos, Van Voskelen, Rattel, Arias, Strauven, Stilt, McIntyre, Murray, Vinnie Phillips, Genet, Poulain, Leveau, Ferrazzano, Lagaye, Montero, Gelard, Provost, Rahali, then Duron, Alam, Ramakers, Vossort, Bernier, Jocelyn, Hassan and Nelly. And I have a feeling this could end up being a false start, because looking at the way they formed up, I'm not sure this is going to be in the right position, but they might have just done it in time actually. And yes, they have. So we do go racing. Finn McLaughlin tries to hold the kart round the outside line through the first corner and loses a couple of positions. So into the first turn we go. Théophile Nall holds the lead. Into second comes Jaden Tehan, and into third place goes Leo Robinson. Straight in for second place, though he's not waiting around, and Bart Harrison gets the move for fourth place as well. Kanato Lee tries to get on the inside of his teammate as they tussle through for the positions. A couple of drivers going through very deep into the midsection of turn 5. Several drivers clustering through together, and a lot of brilliant battles coming through outside the top 5 or 6 karts. So it could be very messy in these opening couple of tours.
And here we go, about to conclude the opening lap under the leadership of Théophile Nall. He did the first part that he needed to do, keep the position into the first corners, the first sequence of corners of this lap. He's the leader from pole position, but will he be able to hold on to it at the end of the 11 laps? That's the $1,000 question, isn't it? With Leo Robinson on a charge. Let's have a look at the gap as they complete the lap just in front of us, with a 0.6 of a second advantage built by the Frenchman in the course of 1.3 kilometer. Leo Robinson up in second. Jaden Teen battling with Bart Harrison up in third, and for the back we have Fionn McLaughlin dropping 3 positions on the top 5. Canatole, Paul Caus Rivero down in 7. 2 places gained actually by the Spaniard in front of Kimi Abraham, Clement Outram and William McIntyre. Are they trying to make his way through the field with 5 positions gained in the course of 1 lap. So McIntyre as well on a great pace, as well on a charge, and a move happening the 23 into the hairpin, beautifully made. Fionn McLaughlin getting ahead of Bart Harrison for 4th place as it is outside of the turn number 8 it was.
But then Bart Harrison got him straight back again on the exit, so Harrison was quick to respond to that move from McLaughlin. Kanato Lee now trying to get on terms with his teammate. They need to work together and team up. They've also got the hard-charging Spaniard, Paul Caus, right in behind them as well. Caus is going to want to make his own bid to come through. Harrison taps his helmet with the 23 Finn McLaughlin. Work with me. No chance. He dives through on the inside, and with his teammate Kanato Lee gets the inside line as well. Harrison squeezes Paul Caus. I'm not going to lose 3 places. I'll only lose 2. Thank you very much. As Leo Robinson and Jaden Tehan tighten up together in their duel over 2nd place. McLaughlin is there in 4th. Lee is 5th. Harrison 6th. Caus in 7th place. And in 8th place at the moment it is Kimi Abraham out of Clement Outram. So some good battles, but Théophile Nall is still the man to beat. On the inside, Jaden Tehan gets the run on Leo Robinson. Oh, there's been an incident. That's Thomas Strauven recovering after a spin. So Thomas Strauven, who's been one of the stars of the weekend, the young Belgian, unfortunately spinning around there on the way up towards turn 2 and having to recover at the tail end of the field. So that's never going to give him any benefits at all. And he and the likes of Thibaut Ramakers, who is way down the order as well after an earlier incident. Thibaut Nall is pulling and stretching clear. Jaden Teen tapping his helmet. Come on, we need to go and get after this guy up front. He's nearly a second clear already.
And Fionn McLaughlin, the fastest on track at the moment, the young British driver further back in the field, the 23 in 4th position. And this is a great battle indeed. And all those drivers, as you said, are going to have to work together at least a little bit to decrease the gap on the leader. 0.8 of a second built by Théophile Nall, who's hasn't been looking over his shoulder since the start of this race. He's keeping his head down, helmet on the race, and he does what he needs to do is keeping the bridge wide open and the gap wide open as well on the rest of the field. But Jaden Teen and Leo Robinson very aggressive into the Escargot part of the track, and we still have a long way to go before the end of this race. So all the work, all the pressure is on Théophile Nall indeed, because even though he has a clear view just in front of him, he knows that there's a lot of drivers, more than one actually, ready to go for battle towards the latest stages of this race. So let's have a look at the gap. Still 0.7 of a second advantage now. And the battle is raging as Leo Robinson is trying to make his way through, and He just, he didn't lost the position right now. Robinson still in second. A good tussle happening into turn number 3 as Paul Chaos as well is trying to fight his way through, but still at the end of this driver's queue outside of turn number 4. You have like up to 6 drivers into the same picture battling for positions right now. This is important. Coming to the final, of course, you want to take advantage of the best racing night that you can have on the grid. Those drivers know it for sure. Théophile Nail, 7/10 of a second, up 9/10, almost a second advantage now. Of course, this is a great occasion now for Théophile Nail because he's taking advantage of the battle behind him that he doesn't need to be looking at. He's just opening the gap as much as he can, and the others behind are losing time as well, defending against each other.
Well, I'm afraid the 192 has received the mechanical flag. That is Julian Carmen, who we thought hadn't started the race. Has started the race, but hasn't got a working transponder, so that is as good as game over. It's going to be a very tough squabble as down to the braking zone. Harrison nudges McLaughlin. He misses his braking point by a little love tap, and McLaughlin now under pressure from his teammate Kanato Lee. There goes Harrison. There goes Chaos, and Chaos trying to get across on Bart Harrison. Can't sweep through. Harrison has to yield to Kanato Lee as they come off the turn, and Sam van Voskulen has now got a mechanical flag as well, so something's happened to the Dutchman in the middle of the fray. Contact!
Oh,
and we've got 4 karts involved,
drivers.
5 karts involved in an incident up at turn 3. That is the 24 that's gone around. That's Gaspard Lagaye, and the 70 involved in that one as well. That is Augustin Bernier, who's already had his fair share of bad luck. Van Verskulen is going around behind them as well with a broken rear bumper, so that's why he's got the mechanical flag. So several problems in the field there for several of the competitors in the midfield, and the battle is raging down to the first corner with Kanato Lee, Harrison, McLaughlin, Chaos, and in the mix there as well is the 18 of Will McIntyre. He is back in the hunt for victory in this final, but he's going to have to work hard in this particular pre-final to make the move. Chaos and McIntyre get through on McLaughlin, so that's big progress made by the young Scot and the young Spaniard. Paul Chaos now up into B6, McIntyre now up into B7. He will not give in.
Yeah, you can feel that William McIntyre is hungry for results after the disappointment of yesterday. He is on a charge, he's climbing through the field, and this is one of the drivers I would put my money on coming to the final with such a pace that he's been producing since the start of this race. He's really diving through the field, starting from 18 on the grid and already fighting for a potential top 6 or top 5 at the end of this race as we're about to conclude lap number 7. So Paul Chaos is going to have to be defensive a lot as well behind with McIntyre behind him, but not for long as he goes through the Scottish driver. Beautifully made by William McIntyre, dropping, making his position up to 6. It is 6 positions indeed in front of Chaos. He's going to have to be defensive once again with the number 23, Phil McLaughlin, just behind him. He's going to try to do the same as well, but the Alonso car driver has been on a good pace as well. Bart Harrison's going to try to go around the outside now on Kanato Lee, crossing the line into the hairpin, and yes, he makes it stick. Beautifully made by Bart Harrison. It was a bit ambitious, to try to go around the outside of turn number 5, considering the hairpin coming up, but he just tried, cross the line. It was very well made, beautiful and clean from Bart Harrison up to 4th.
And yet, there's not a single person who can hold a candle to Théophile Nail, the Frenchman, out in front, who's going to complete lap number 8. They've spent so long battling amongst themselves that the Frenchman, Théophile Nail, is still unbeatable out in front. He could be the only person this weekend to go through the entire weekend with a clean sweep of victories. Absolutely amazing run so far. Augustin Bernier with a warning flag. That means, sadly, he's going to take the 5-second penalty with it as the battle continues in the midfield. And that is a great squabble. Finn McLaughlin makes the move on Paul Chaos. Immediately decides to go defensive. Kanato Lee has lost the ground now to Will McIntyre. McIntyre goes through on the Japanese driver. This is for second place. This is Robinson and Tian. So Leo Robinson and Jaden Tian, the Algerian and the Dutchman, as they continue to charge their way forward. But Leo Robinson and Jaden Tian have already conceded a good 2 seconds to Théophile Nail, who just keeps accelerating, who keeps pulling away. And there's not a lot they can do to keep track with him at the moment. So they just have to continue their pressure and hope that it's going to be enough in the final. They need to find something magic here because Théophile Nail is still very much the dominant force. Jaden Tian makes the lunge on the inside line. Second place, that'll do.
Yeah, beautiful. Less than 2 laps to go before a checkered flag, and that was the move that we had been expecting for quite a while from Jaden Tian, making his way through Leo Robinson, who still have a bit of time under his hand to try to make the same as well, the same kind of maneuver, but still time running out quite fast into the conclusion of this pre-final. Further back, Bart Harrison still fighting his way through. William McIntyre just behind for 7/10 of a second. Cannot lay down in 6 as we're getting near the conclusion. But Théophile Nael, as you said, has been absolutely unbeatable so far this weekend. Once again, demonstrating how good and fast he is around this track. But will he have enough of pace and determination to conclude on the highest note in the final? This will be for later this afternoon. But for now, Théophile Nael is on his way to what will be pole position for him in just over a lap.
So this is an amazing performance from Théophile Nael. Is he going to dominate this X30 Junior Pre-Final? It's certainly looking that way. He's only got 1 lap to continue on. So it's second place at the moment for Jaden Teehan, third for Leo Robinson, fourth for Bart Harrison, and fifth for Will McIntyre as they come to the last lap of the proceedings. So it's still an absolutely exceptional run. Now, is this going to be a last chance saloon for Leo Robinson? Can he get the run on Jaden Teehan? Théophile Nael still holding this lead. He's got an absolute dominant gap to Jaden Teehan and Leo Robinson. He's been an absolute sensational weekend, and there's nobody to hold a candle to him in terms of his raw pace. Will McIntyre's doing what he can to get back into a race-winning position. He's up to 5th place. That's invaluable as far as he's concerned on the inside line of the 3rd row. So he's done all he can, but Théophile Nael is still unbeatable. He comes through, and it's a 4th win of the weekend. The pre-final goes the way of Théophile Nael. Second for Jaden Teehan, third for Leo Robinson from Harrison and McIntyre. Théophile Nael is just absolutely dominant here in Mariembourg. A sensational display from the young Frenchman. It really has been absolutely astonishing to watch his display right from the get-go. The young man for 2N Racing has been just exemplary. Every time he comes around the course, every time he gets into the kart, he just finds a little bit of extra speed, a little bit of extra pace, allows the rest of the field to squabble amongst themselves, and now he is there in absolutely jubilant form up front. He makes it look so easy, and Théophile Nael could well be the new championship leader by the time we leave Mariembourg this evening. So a very crucial pre-final victory, and of course you get points for the title fight in the pre-final, so it all makes a big difference. Théophile Nael wins from Jaden Teehan and Leo Robinson, then Bart Harrison and Will McIntyre from Kanato Lee and Paul Kayos, Kimi Abraham and Finn McLaughlin. Then it is Clement Dutran who is there along with Vinnie Phillips and Arthur Poulain, Ivan Arias and Andy Rattel from Noah Montero and Louis Leveau. Sebastian Murray is 17th ahead of Freddie Allen. Then it is Eric Genet and Aaron Ferrazzano. Kimi Duron is in front of Ilias Provost. Henry Jocelyn did a great job to fight to 23rd ahead of Adam Rahali. Gabriel Stilp and Aidan Hassan going well too from Thibaut Jalad, Thibaut Ramakers, Thomas Strauven and Angelo Melli, and then Gaspard Lagaye and Augustin Bernier. The retirements are Arthur Vassort and Sam Van Vasculen. Julian Carmen was ruled out with a faulty transponder. Brandon Templeton failed to start the race. So an absolutely fabulous battle in the X30 Junior pre-final.